Good morning, class!
Good morning, Miss Edelyn.
Before we start, I'd like to call on Miss Moon to lead us on prayer.
Let's bow our head. Yes, Lord, thank you po, Panginoon, sa araw na ito at pinagkaloob nga po sa bawat isa. Continue to give us knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Ito nga pong summit na namin sa pangalan ni Jesus. Amen.
Okay, take your seat. So, welcome to our subject, the Philippine literature. So, before we start to our newest topic, who can give me a recap of our topic last meeting?
Ma'am.
Yes, Miss Enrile?
Prose.
Prose. So, what is prose?
Ma'am.
Yes?
Prose is the original form of the written language.
Yes. Prose is an original form of the written language. Prose follows grammatical conventions and it does not contain metrical structure. So, who can give me an example of a prose?
Ma'am.
Yes?
The prose examples are human conversation, short stories, articles, and essays.
Yes, very good. And also, it also included biography. And before we proceed to our topic for today, I'd like to give you a activity. Now I have 4 words in my mind. Kindly write it on your notebook. Poetry, Philippines, literature, music. Now, ma'am, what we are going to do po? What you are going to do is to create or make or compose your own poetry using those 4 words that I have been given to you. Now, I will give you 10 minutes to start your composition. Time starts now. Okay, time is up. Okay, now, whose students are brave and confident enough to share or to stand here in front to share his composition or her composition in front of the class?
Ma'am.
Yes, Miss Enrile?
Oh, Philippines, your history is grand and a literature like a wonderland. Poetry, music gives our heart a command to never forget our dearest land.
Very good. I'd like your composition. Very good. Now, what you have observed in Miss Enrile's composition?
Ma'am,
Yes?
Philippines, literature, music, and poetry.
Yes?
Miss Enrile are able to apply the 4 words that you have been given.
Yes, very good. What else? What else? Yes?
Every last word in every line has the same sound.
Yes. What are those? What are those words that has the same sound?
Grand, wonderland, command, and land.
Yes, very good. Now, did you think that prose is a poetry?
No.
Yes, it is not a poetry. Now, let's proceed to our newest topic. I know that you already have the idea of our topic for today. What is it?
Poetry.
Poetry, very good. Now, when you heard the word poetry, what comes in your mind?
Poem.
Poem? What else?
Rhythm.
Rhythm?
Rhyme.
Rhyme? What else?
Love.
Love. Very good. Now, let's define poetry. Everyone read.
Poetry. A literary work which special intensity is given to expression of feeling and rhythm.
Is given the expression of feeling and rhythm. Did you think in Miss Enrile's composition, she's able to give the expression of feeling and rhythm?
Yes.
Yes, of course. And also, poetry can be an instrument to share your ideas, to create imagery, to share your thoughts, to share your experiences, emotions, and etc. Now, we have here the three genres of poetry. What are those? Narrative poetry. Next, lyric poetry, and
dramatic poetry.
dramatic poetry. Now, let us discuss first the narrative poetry. Before we start to discuss the narrative poetry, I'd like to call on Miss Moon to give me an idea of narrative poetry. Narration. What else? What comes in your mind when you hear the word narrative?
Tells a story.
Tells a story. What else?
Narrate.
It narrates, and it often give the voice of a narrator and a character as well. Now, narrative poetry, read.
Narrative poetry, a poem that tells a story.
A poem that tells a story. So there are kinds of narrative poetry. First is epic poetry. Did you have an idea about epic poetry? Don't have. Okay. Epic poetry, it is lengthy. It's a lengthy poem or poetry. It details extraordinary that fits the adventures of the character from a distant past. Now, epic poetry has from the ancient Greek word. It comes from the word epos. Epos, which means story, word, and poetry. So, who can give me an example of epic poetry?
Biag
Nilamang, yes. Biag Nilamang is a very famous epic poetry of the Ilocano people. And Biag Nilamang, it is notable for being the first Philippine folk epic that is recorded in the written form. Now, Biag Nilamang, Lamang is a very adventurous person. He is a very brave and a courageous person in a distant past. And his adventures from his father. Next, metrical tale. Did you heard the word metrical tale?
Yes.
Yes. What is metrical tale?
It follows narrative format.
Yes, it follows narrative format. What are the narrative format? Yes?
It featuring characters, a plot, and setting, and a theme.
Yes, it's featuring character, setting, plot, and a theme. Metrical tales follows a narrative format. So there are examples of metrical tale. Did you have an idea of example of metrical tale? Abadela, very good. Abadela is a Philippine version of Cinderella. Because Abadela has the stepmom like Cinderella, has the stepdaughter like Cinderella, but unlike Cinderella who lost her shoes or sandals everywhere or anywhere, it is a prince. In Abadela, it is a prince who found a ring in a magical forest. Then a prince put the ring in his finger and went home in the palace, but suddenly the prince can't remove the ring in his finger. Then now, he decided, and the palace decided to announce that whoever woman who can remove the finger, the ring in his finger, the prince will able to marry her. Then they found Abadela. So that is the example of metrical tale. When we heard the word metrical tale, it follows narrative format. Next, ballad. Who have the idea of ballad?
Song.
Song. Yes, ballad is meant to be song. But ballad, it tells a story, but was traditionally set to music. Ballad is all about love, war, passion, career, but here in the Philippines, all ballad songs are all about love. Next, lyric poetry. When we heard the word lyric poetry, what comes in your mind?
Music.
Music, yes. Because from the word itself, lyric, that's all about music. So let us read lyric poetry. Go.
Lyric poetry, a poem that focuses on thought and emotion.
Lyric poetry, a poem that focuses on thought and emotions. It is written to express their thoughts and emotion that is meant to be sung. So there are examples of, there are kinds of lyric poetry, which is folk song. Who is familiar with folk song? Folk song, it is known to be as awiting bayan. Now, who can give an example of awiting bayan? Yes?
Bahay kubo.
Bahay kubo.
Laron-larong sinta.
Laron-larong sinta.
Pagtanim ay dibiro.
Pagtanim ay dibiro, and sit, and etc. Now you are familiar with that, so you can easily understand folk song. Next, sonnet. Sonnet has 14 syllables. And when you heard the word sonnet, who was the first person that comes in your mind?
William Shakespeare.
Yes, William Shakespeare. But here in the Philippines, we have
Ophelia de Malanta.
yes, Ophelia de Malanta. She is known to be the sonnet poetry. Okay, take note of that. Sonnet has 14 syllables. Okay, next, elegy. Elegy. What comes in your mind when you heard the word elegy?
Sadness.
Sadness. Another. Elegy. It is a lamenting the death of a person or a loved one or a friend or a special someone. Lamenting the death of a person, a loved one, and a friend. It is a very emotional lyric poetry that contains an persistent sadness, grief, and loneliness. Next, psalm. I know that you are familiar with psalm because you are already heard it on church or already saw it on the Bible, right?
Yes.
Yes. Psalm it is meant to be written to praise and worshiping God. So there are examples of Psalm. Psalm 23 verse 1, the Lord is my shepherd. Because of that praise or because of that verse, you know that there are person or there are shepherd who will direct you on the right path, right? Yes. Next, awit. Awit has
12 syllables.
12 syllables. Again, sonnet has 14 syllables. Awit has
12 syllables.
12 syllables. Awit, it is sung slowly. And there are best example of awit. Florante at Laura. It is written by
Francisco Baltasar.
Francisco Baltasar. So don't be confused, ha? Sonnet has 14 syllables. Awit has 12 syllables. Next, corridors. What comes in your mind when you heard the word corridors?
It has 8 syllables.
It has 8 syllables. Very good. It derives largely from romance. It consists of a story itself, or a farewell for the singer, and a moral. Okay, don't be confused. Take note of that. Sonnet has 14 syllables. Awit has 12 syllables. And chorus has
8 syllables.
8 syllables. Very good. Next, let's move on to dramatic poetry. From your own opinion, what comes in your mind when you heard the word dramatic poetry?
Drama.
Drama, from the word itself, drama. So please all read dramatic poetry.
Dramatic poetry. To tell a story or portray a situation.
To tell a story or portray a situation. It is usually seen by a theater. Dramatic poetry is usually seen by a theater. So there are kinds of dramatic poetry. First, comedy. Comedy. What is comedy? Okay. What comes in your mind when you heard the word comedy? Entertain. What else?
Amuse.
Amuse. What else? Comedy.
Fun.
What?
Fun.
Fun. What else?
Comedian.
Comedian. What else? Okay. Comedy, it comes from the Greek word komos. Komos, which means amusement. Very good, Miss Moon. Comedy comes from the Greek word komos, which means amusement. And comedy has a cheerful ending. Next, melodrama. When you hear the word melodrama, what comes in your mind? It can be seen in the television. Before, melodrama can be seen by a theater. It's only seen by theater. But now, melodrama can be seen in television. So there are very famous melodrama here in the Philippines that can be seen in the television. What is it?
Mara Clara.
Mara Clara. Yes, when we heard melodrama, it is all about the deep emotions, deep feelings, deep thoughts that portraying by a character. Yes. Okay, next. Tragedy. What comes in your mind when you heard the word tragedy?
Mom. Tragedy for me is tragic struggles and troubles.
Yes. Struggles, tragic events, troubles, trials, sufferings. It's all about sadness. Okay, when we heard the word tragedy, it is all about the sadness, the tragic events. Okay, next, farce. What is farce?
Exaggerated expressions, comedy.
Yes. Farce is also a comedy, but it is exaggerated. Exaggerated comedy, exaggerated costume, exaggerated dialogues, or exaggerated facial expressions. Now, did you understand the genres of poetry?
Yes.
Okay. May I call on Miss Enrile to discuss narrative poetry? Briefly, precisely.
Narrative poetry, from the word narrative, it narrates a story or tell stories, and an author narrates our story.
Okay, very good. Miss Moon, lyric poetry, precisely.
It's all about music.
Yes, it's all about music. Miss Del Valle, dramatic poetry.
Dramatic poetry, from the word itself, it means drama.
Drama, yes. Now, let's move on to the genres of poetry. 5 characteristics of poetry. We all know that poetry is all about freedom, shared emotion, shared thought, shared love, shared words, shared feelings. But what are the characteristic of poetry? First, rhyme. Now, I know that you are familiar with that because you are the future writers, some of you. Now, what is rhyme?
Ma'am, rhyming words to create certain effect.
Yes, rhyming words to create certain effect. So, did you think in Miss Elrena's composition, she is able to give the rhyme or the rhyming words that gives a certain effect? Yes, of course, it has rhymes because just like what Miss Moon said, in Miss Enrila's composition, every part of every line has the same sound. Wonderland, grand, land, and command. Very good. Now, did you think that words or stanzas without a rhyme can be called poetry?
Yes.
Yes, of course, because it is called
Free verse.
free verse poetry. Next, rhythm. What comes in your mind when you hear the word rhythm?
It has pattern.
It has patterns. Yes?
Same words and same numbers.
Same words and same numbers. It consists of same numbers of same words of lines, stanzas. Okay, who can give me a pattern of a poetry? A sample pattern.
A, A, B,
A, B, A, B. A, B, B. Right. Now, let's move on. Figurative language. Figurative language is often seen by a poem. Of course. First kind of figurative language is simile. Simile is comparing two things using like and as. Who can give me an example of simile? Yes?
Edelyn is like a snow. Edelyn's skin is like a snow.
Edelyn's skin is like a snow. How can you say that it is simile? Because
Like and us.
like and as.
Comparing two things.
You compare two things. You compare Edelyn's skin in a snow, right? Very good. Now let's move on. Metaphor. When we say metaphor, it is comparing two things by saying one thing actually is another thing. Understand?
Yes.
Comparing two things by saying one thing actually is another thing. Who can give me an example of metaphor? Metaphor? Yes.
The girl is a tornado on the basketball court.
The girl is a tornado. How can you say that it is metaphor? Comparing two things. You compare a girl into a tornado. Then, on a basketball court. Very good. Now, personification. Are you following?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Now, personification. What is personification? It is giving human characteristic to a non-living things. Giving human characteristic to a non-living things. So, what is the example of personification?
Ma'am,
Yes?
the autumn leaves dance across the street.
The autumn leaves dance across the street. How can you say that it is personification?
Because I compare the autumn leaves like human dancing across the street.
Yes, very good. You compared leaves like a human dancing across the street. Very good. Now, let's move on. Shape. Shape. What is shape? Shape. Shape is, you can tell that a poem or a story, you can tell it by what it looks like. A book of poem looks different from a regular novel. Okay, what is the differences of poem and book of novel that you can say that it is different? Yes?
Novel, it is a written form, a paragraph form.
Yes, novel, it is written by a paragraph form. But poem is written by stanzas. So now you can say that a poem is a poem by written in stanzas with rhymes, with rhythm, with figurative language, with shape, and so forth, so on. And next, mood. Mood, it is a feeling that it has. Feeling that it has. Every poetry has feeling, right? What are those?
Happy, sad.
Happy, sad, glamorous, humorous. It's based on your feelings or what you are feeling right now when you are writing a poetry. What you have experienced. Are you sad? Are you happy? Are you excited? Are you feeling love, feeling worthy? It is based on your feeling. It is a mood. Okay, now I have a question to each of you. Did you think that a poetry is a therapy?
Yes.
Yes, of course. But why? Why? Yes?
I can say that poetry can be a therapy because some of the people are afraid to express their feelings so that it can help them to express they wanted to say.
Yes. Poetry is a therapy because it is an way or medium of expressing our thoughts and feelings. Because some of the people or many people are afraid to voice out their feelings and express their own thoughts and emotions. Next.
Yes, poetry is like a therapy because it makes the mood of a person and makes fun.
Yes, poetry is a therapy because it makes the mood and
Makes fun.
makes fun. Yes, it can be a stress reliever or a therapy for a depressed person, and it can be exciting, right? When you are writing, it can be a medium of expression to express your own feeling and own emotions, right? Next, Miss Del Valle. Did you think that poetry is a therapy?
Yes, because therapists may use poetry as a way to help their client reach their treatment goal. For example, they might encourage a child who has experience read poems about anger as a way to better identify their own angry feelings.
Yes. It can be an
Encouragement.
encouragement to every person who are depressed, like, and who can voice out their feelings, their own feelings. Now, another question. Did you think that poetry is still preserved in the Philippines?
Yes.
Yes, why? Why?
Ma'am, because many writers that don't have a license in writing showed up to express their feelings by writing a poem.
Yes, even a person without license to write are able to write a poetry and able to express their feelings and thoughts, right? And it is nice to know that it is still preserved in the Philippines, that many writers or persons, students, youths, generations are showing up to express their own thoughts and to voice out by their stand, or to voice out of what they are feeling, or to voice out of what comes in their mind. You future professionals, future writers, future teachers, future doctors, it is nice that you have practiced the value of poetry in the Philippine literature, because it is very important, especially when a youth is can't able or introvert. It is untherapy for them to express their own feeling. Okay, have you enjoyed our lesson?
Yes!
Very good. Now, I have a take home activity for you to develop your writing skills. Now, write it in your notebook. You are going to create or make a composition based on your feelings, based on your experiences, based on your emotions, or what are you feeling right now. You are going to create a composition, a poetry of your own. Don't worry, you are not able to present it in front of the class. I'll be the one who have the authority to read it and to know the experiences you have, the feeling you have, right?
Yes.
Okay, that is very interesting. Not just because of your sad experiences, not just because of your happy experiences, not just because of your own emotion. It is interesting for me to know you better, right? Okay. Now, before I leave in your classroom, I may call on Miss Del Val to lead us on prayer.
Can let us close our eyes and bow our heads into the presence of our living God. Father God in heaven, thank you for this wonderful day, Panginoon, na binigyan niyo ako sa bawat isa, Panginoon. Lord, guide us, Panginoon, sa aming pag-uwi, Lord God. Whatever the mga tututunan namin po, ay itanig po namin sa mga aming puso't isipan, Lord God. Lord, we praise you, glorify your name, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Very good. Thank you for today. Thank you for taking your seat. Thank you for today. I hope you enjoyed our lesson. I hope you put a lesson or a moral lesson in our topic for today. It is not about a story, but it is about our feeling and emotion and experiences. Thank you for today. I hope you have a take-home lessons and learnings of your own.
Yes.
Thank you and God bless. Class dismissed.